Hey guys, Casual Chrono here. This is a video that I've been wanting to make for a while now. It's basically how to look at your characters that you have access to and how in the world do you make a Superboss team. So that is what we're going to do today with my Thunder team. Basically, to get started, I have a bunch of Thunder characters that I've collected for a while. We can use the filter. And you can see I have Kamlanaj, he's free, Oboro, Orlea, Miyu, Melinda, Valette, Cyrus, Victor, and Tithy. Cyrus, Victor, and Tithy are level 60s, all the rest are level 80. So basically, where do we start? I find, and it seems to be kind of the pattern, at least right now in end of the year 2023, you choose one DPS character and you build the entire team around that DPS character. In my other Superboss teams, I have Minalka, and everyone is built to support her. I have Sesta, and my Wind team is all built to support her. And I have Alma, and this team is all built to support her. So I'm thinking either Miyu or Oboro is going to be the top DPS. I don't quite know which one, but Miyu has an ability that can pierce barriers, and that's what I usually like to look at first. Do I have a barrier piercing character? If I do, that's the person that I choose to build around. So I'm going to try to build around Miyu. Now, that said, there aren't that many Thunder characters. I usually like a tank, and from what I can tell, Orlea AS has some tanking skills. Oboro is pretty strong DPS in his own right, and Valette for support is what I'm thinking. So let's look at these four characters first. So Miyu, here's her base stats at level 80. She has no gear, no grasta. Gear-wise, as far as weapons, the absolute strongest weapon right now in the game are the Elpis weapons. So I'm going to give her the Elpis Spear. The main reason these are the best is that they have the overthrow ability, which really helps on bosses of very, very high levels. The Mujima weapons that you can get from the Uquaji clan also have overthrow, so they're not a bad choice if you don't have the Elpis weapons. Now armor, you usually think of armor as something that helps you survive. Well, a lot of armor has abilities, so here critical strength, magic critical strength are all improved. So for the DPS characters like Miyu, I look for armor that will actually improve on their DPS. I don't care about survival because that's kind of the tank's job in my opinion. So I basically just kind of scroll through and look to see what might help with attacking. And one of the items is Time Restored Bangle. It enhances weak point damage, so if there's a boss that's weak to thunder, she will do more damage that way. And I get a little side benefit of extra regen. So I'm going to try the Time Restored Bangle. And for the badge, usually I want something that improves power or improves damage in some way or form. And I do have choices. I could do Dragon God Badge, which improves power by 30. I could do other things like a Pain Badge if I'm pained. I could do critical type 30%, type attack 10%, and so forth and so on. So you kind of look, Vitality Badge is a fun one. I use it a lot. So I kind of look for anything that improves damage. One of the badges is Bullseye Badge, but it does not stack. So if I have Grasta that has Bullseye, there's no reason for me to equip the Bullseye Badge. And I do plan on equipping Grasta that has Bullseye. So I'm going to skip that one. So let's go with the Berserker Badge. Let's do an increase of 40 damage. Basically, you want Pain or Poison Grasta. Now Miyu has so the question, of course, is which one? Miyu has a skill that inflicts pain and ignores target resistance. So I know that as long as I attack with this Levin Longinus attack, the enemies, in this case all enemies, will have pain. So it makes sense for me to build grasta around the pain grastas. So I'm going to look around and see which power of pains or power of agonies do I have. Here's some power of pains. And I'm going to go ahead and put on these three. I've already upgraded them. One has bullseye. One has the MP consumption, which improves damage by an additional 15%, but does use up my mana a lot faster, my MP. And the third pain, I have adversity, which as long as there's more than one enemy, damage inflicted goes up by 30%. Now, if you don't have 3 pain grastas yet, the next best thing are things like Power of Thunder, which improves thunder type attacks since this is a thunder team. You know, if you have other characters, like if you have wind characters, you would want Power of Gales and so forth. But the way the math works, and I'm not going to go into details, 3 Power of Pains will produce more damage than 3 elemental grastas. And then some characters have their special grasta. In this case, I have one that basically improves endurance and spirit for her, which does really not do anything for her attack, but I can equip it. It's an extra 10 endurance and spirit. Why not? So, let's look at the other 3 characters. Orlea is the tank. We want her to have tank-related weapons. So I could give her things like Plasma Axe, which improves speed and stuff like that, Elpis Axe, which improves her damage, but again, I'm not trying to do damage here. I'm trying to survive. So I can look through and see what I can find that might help. And for axes, I haven't really found too much that helps survival. Could do Historic Axe, which absorbs some health and stuff like that. And I don't have every single weapon in the game, so in this particular case, what I've been doing is just use the Mujima Axe. It doesn't help with survival, but it does have the overthrow ability. I could use the Elpis Axe, but if I had a character, a DPS character that used axes, I'd want them to have it instead. It's a little bit stronger. So I'm just going to go ahead and give her the Mujima Axe. Armor should be fairly straightforward. Great choices. The Elpis Necklace improves your health. So if you need more health, that would be an option. The Mujima Necklace, every single turn your damage taken decreases, so the longer the fight is, the more likely you can survive it. Other items might give health, they might give mana, resistances, and so forth. I'm going to go with the Oriental Necklace for Orlea. It improves her physical and her type resistance. And then for Badge, I could give her health, I could give her more resistances, and so forth. I tend to opt for my tanks. If you do Toto Theater World over and over and over and over again, you will eventually collect a bunch of the plus 50, minus 50 type badges. But as far as health goes, there's also hit points 2,000 at the cost of mana points or speed, things like that. So I don't like lowering my speed because if I use the AF bar, I want my characters to go as quick as possible. So I tend to pick hit points 2,000 MP 50. So that gives her a base of 5,300 health, and she has some defenses with the Oriental Necklace. As far as skills, I want one where the another force combo rate increases, party's critical rate improves, and I can do other things. But in her case, she has two abilities that I think will help a lot. Defense du Tonnerre, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it reduces the enemy's power, inflicts rage, I gain a damage barrier against Thunder type, and I change the enemy's attacks to Thunder type. So no matter what the enemy is attacking me with, it's going to become a Thunder attack, and I have a 50% damage barrier against Thunder. And then she also has resistance, and it's a praying thing, so I cast it once, and then I can kind of ignore it for 3 turns. But I gain cover, I get 3,000 health, restoration, restore statuses, damage taken is reduced by 50%, and so forth. And when I'm in a Thundering stance, a lot of those basically get better. So in her case, having those two abilities are great to beef up defenses. And then in the another force bar, I have at least one attack type, so which does 3 attacks. Grasta wise, for tanks, I want anything that improves health. So I have a Power of Rebirth, which I've given an extra 300 health, an HP ore. So that's 600 health right there. And I get regen. Okay. The MP consumption axe gives a base of 300 health, and I have an ore for 300 health, so there's another 600. And then I have some more choices. I could do Robust Body if I want. I could do Self-Healing. All of these here that say HP 300, I would consider all of them. Now, Robust Body does not give health, but it shares. So I'm going to stick with one of the ones that actually flat out gives me 300 health right away, and that's a Self-Healing Axe. What I can always do is stick someone in the back row and give them the shared grasta, which would give Orlea an extra 300 health. And then I do not have Orlea's special grasta, so there's nothing for me to equip there. So by doing that, I have an Orlea that has almost 7,000 health, has a little bit of defense through her armor, and basically her skills should make her fairly tough to kill. Now, looking at the last two, Valette, when you look at her skills, she does have attack skills, but I almost hate to say that they're not super powerful. She seems like more of a support character to me. She improves the party's power, which is good, and she can deploy Thundering Stance and things like that. So I'm more inclined to use her as support. So the 3 skills I've chosen for her: Minnie's Astrophy, where she does a thunder type attack on all enemies times 4, improves the party's critical rate and magical critical rate. Strength is based on the user's power, and so forth and so on, and it reduces type resistance by 50%. The second ability, I try to stick an ability that improves the entire team. So in her case, she has Exosia, which improves the party's power, intellect, speed by 50%, thunder types attack by 50, improves their max health. All of this is doubled in Thundering Stance, and all party members increase magic damage based on max MP value. Now these characters have magic damage, but if I threw in Kamlaj or someone like that, this would improve his damage even further. And then finally, in the third position, I usually like to have, that's where I put my stances and so forth. So this is where I can deploy Thundering Stance, and I can give my team regen and so forth. So now, since she's more support than damage, I don't really care about high damage weapons. I'm not going to give her the Elpis hammer, for example. I can look at some of my other choices, but I want something defensive minded. So Miyaki's hammer would improve her speed and reduce her MP consumption. Kwai weight would give her extra health, and so forth. So when you're looking at physical resistance, thanks to Toto's, even though mine's a level 3. So when you're picking a weapon for a support character, you don't necessarily want something that will do a lot of damage, you want something that will keep them alive. So I'm going to give her the Kawaii weight, which gives her extra health. So now she's at 4,444 health. What an odd number. Armor is the same way. I would like to give her something that will help her survive. Mujima Bangle, for example, might be a good one. Depending on the fight, resistances and speed are good. I'm going to go with the Oriental Bracelet, which improves type and physical resistance. And then again, I want her to survive, so I'm thinking of a badge that would give her some hit points. So that way she can take some attacks. So things like the Life Spring badge would be good, even though that does reduce her damage a little bit. Any of the other badges where, like Giant's badge, you get 1,000 health, but subtracts speed. A lot of the increased stats by 20 for everything might not be too bad. So in this case, I am probably going to go down to the 2,000 health section, thanks to Toto's. And we'll do 2,000 health. Now she has 6,400 health. Grasta-wise, she is a hammer user, but I want her to live. So I'm going to look at the hit point ones. So MP consumption with the HP ore would be 600 extra health. That's the wrong category. I could give her constant regen, but there's no health involved in that. So I'm going to give her just an MP restore. That's another 600 health with the ore. And I have a power of regen with 150 health. I have self-healing and so forth with 300 health. If you don't have fully upgraded Grasta, there's nothing wrong with using just a single activated one. In this case, I'm going to give her self-healing. It's just an extra 300 health. If I get another HP ore, I can always upgrade it and give her more. But now my Valette has 7,900 health. That might be a bit overkill, so I'm going to look at that badge again. Maybe I give her something that will help a little bit more with damage. Because 8,000 health for a support character that's not the tank might be a little bit of overkill. So let's go with... well, let's just go with what's equipped. So Dragon God. Little extra damage that way. And 59, 6,000 health. That sounds like a pretty good number. So then that brings us to Oboro. He is definitely a damage dealer. Now, I'm kind of building around Miyu, but I still want him to do good damage. So I'm going to give him the Elpis Dagger. Armor-wise, I'm going to pick something that gives him extra damage, preferably right away. So I scroll through all my choices, and the Guidance Ring improves his type attack. So I'm going to give him the Guidance Ring. Badge-wise, I definitely want to give him something that will blast through monsters. So let's, for him, go with let's go with the Vitality Badge. When he has max health, his damage increases by 20%. If I blow the AF bar right at the start of a fight, he should be at max health. Now, Grasta-wise, he's a katana user. So I have a bunch of choices. I want to give him Pains because that combination is always the best. So I'm going to give him a Power of Agony that has Bullseye. I'm going to give him a Power of Pain that has the MP consumption. And then I'm going to give him another Power of Pain. And I threw in the one where his damage improves when the zone is awakened. Again, you can give him adversity. You can give him all sorts of other upgrades. But I just happen to have that one already upgraded, so I'm going to use that. And I do not have his special grasta either. So he has 3 Power of Pains, and all have extra damage in some way or another. So that is the base team. So then we look at the reserves. So if the main damage dealer is Miyu, I want to be able to boost her damage even more. And she is a Thunder user, and she is a Lance user. So I need to pick pretty much any Lance user in the game. Let's reset that filter. Alright, so let's try this again. So any of these characters here, even the bots, all of them could support Miyu. I tend to prefer to pick Lance users that also are Thunder users, but it's not really required. So let's pick Milsha. So we want things to support Lance users. What I tend to pick is I always have 1 enhance damage when you're at max health. I tend to have an enhanced damage when you're below 80% health, and then a power of whatever element the main damage dealer is. So let's give enhance at max health. Go back to Lance users. There's the enhance with low health. And then finally, since Miyu is a Thunder user, I want the Power of Thunder Lance. When it's upgraded, all Thunder type attacks for all Lance users are improved by 30%. It does not help Milsha because she herself is a Shade user. However, just by virtue of having that grasta equipped, she is beefing up Miyu's damage. Now, I could get a second Lance user and keep equipping more grasta. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, when my hit points are at 80% or lower, that's not going to happen if I blow the AF bar on turn number 1. So maybe I'll go ahead and go with another improved damage when when health is at max. So anyway, I could have another Lance user. I could equip them with some more Lance type gear, but I think since Oboro has the potential to be a really strong damage dealer, my second character is going to be a Katana user. Again, it does not matter which Katana user you use. I could put one of the bots in the background. I don't think I have any other Katana users that are Thunder, and I'm not even sure if there are any, now I'm thinking about. But I'm just going to go ahead and use Azami, a free character. It doesn't really matter what she's equipped with, but the grasta does matter. So she is a Katana user. I'm going to do my enhance if you're at max health. I'm going to do my enhance at low health. So when characters are below 80%, they do 40% more damage. And for the third one, again, you just match up whichever element you need. So in this case, I need Thunder. A lot of these, like the Power of Gale Katana, you can get, I believe it's either Antiquity or Present Day Guerrilla's Dungeon. I'd have to look it up. But one of those two, I ran them both quite a lot and pretty much bought them all out. So no matter what new character comes along, I have an element that can help them. The Thunders, though, I believe, if I remember right, you can buy them in the newest content. So anyway, I'm going to equip Power of Thunder Katana. She does have one of her proofs, but I mean, she's not fighting, so it doesn't really matter if that one's equipped or not. So there you go. I have a Thunder team. I have someone that supports Miyu and someone that supports Oboro for damage, and I've chosen skills that should beef up both Miyu and Oboro. Sidekick-wise, for a Thunder team, Gunts is probably the best choice. So Gunts' Elemental Break can stack 3 times, so he just seems to make the best choice. He can have a charge skill that does a Thunder type magic attack on all enemies, and so forth and so on. And when the AF gauge is empty, all party members' stats improve by 20%. So he really encourages me to blow the AF bar on the first turn. As far as equipment, you can kind of choose for yourself. If you want your pet to go last, the Soothing Bell reduces its speed. You can give it, like, poison, other things, resistances. I tend to go with the Time Sprout because it reduces resistance. So the sub-sidekick, it kind of depends on what aura you might want to activate, or if you think you might be swapping them out. For example, if I had a fire team, Kurobo, in the back row, if I do fire damage to the boss, then his aura activates and that boss's power or intellect drops by 25% for the rest of the fight. So again, it really depends on who you're fighting and what auras you might want. In this case, none of them do fire damage, so having Kurobo as a sidekick is kind of pointless. Now, we've formed a Superboss team. It's heavily Miyu focused, though there is some support for Oboro as well. So let's go ahead and test it on a Superboss. So maybe the Uquaji clan. We're going to attack the leftmost one first, assuming it's not Null the Thunder. Alright, 1 resist, the rest are okay. So we're going to go 3, reducing resistance. And we're going to do 5 attacks. 3 again. And Thunder type slash attack. So, alright, so 3, 3, 3, 1. All set. And we're going to watch the Stellar Burst meter, I guess, and try to hit it when I can. So 3, 3, 3, 1. Spam 1. Keep that combo bar going. Alright. One of them is dead. Stellar Burst. We're going to keep spamming 1. See if we can take down the next one. Almost.
Stop! Don't dream it's...
Now, nothing's ever perfect on the first try. What we learned from that fight is it looks like it might be doable. However, I wasn't able to pump out quite enough damage. Of the 4 people, Miyu and Oboro were doing pretty well on damage, and Vlette was good support. Orlea's kind of the weak point in this group. She's a tank, so she's not really designed for damage. Now, if she's all you have, I could switch. I could give her Pain Poison Grastas as well, and possibly mess with some of her other skills, like Illumage. Is that how that's pronounced? If you haven't figured it out by now, I'm not the best at pronouncing strange words. We'll go with Illumage. So I could give her that and so forth. But I do have another damage dealer. That's a Thunder user. I have the free character, Conlinage. So let's build him. The Elpis Rod, as mentioned before, best weapon for damage dealers. He will want some armor that also improves his attacks. So I can look through and hopefully find something that will improve his damage. I could do Rainbow Ring and improve his critical rate. If you do that one, make sure that none of the skills that you use basically make the critical rate 100%, because then that makes this ring kind of pointless. However, Camouflage has a skill that is tied to his speed, Terra Electric. So it would make sense if I could find some armor and some gear that might boost his speed, because that would improve that skill. So it's kind of important to read over the skills and see if any of them are speed-based, luck-based, and so forth. And in this case, the anti-lightning ring does improve his speed. So I'm going to equip that one. And then I have badges that can improve speed. I could give him a preeminent badge. I could give him one of those plus 50 speeds minus some ability. So let's see where they start at. Luck, spirit, endurance, speed. I could do speed plus MP halved badge. Let's do that one. So now speed's 306. Now since he's doing damage, I want pain. And he's a staff user, so I have a power of agony with bullseye. Which, remember, when you're using the AF bar, the bullseyes actually don't come into play. So if I'm able to kill everything during the AF bar, the bullseyes never activate. If I make it to turn 2, that's when the bullseyes actually will help out. So let's do another power of pain. And I don't think I have any more upgraded, so we'll just stick with just 2 basic ones. There's one. And here comes, whoops, speed things up, staff, power of pain. Now, why pain? Because that's what I have access to. Miyu can drop pain, and all the other DPS characters have pain grasta as well. So you don't want to have one person with pain and then a separate person with poison, unless you have one of those skills that puts pain and poison on the monsters. So Miyu's skill only puts pain right there, inflict pain, 3 turns, ignoring target resistance. Doesn't say anything about poison. So I want to make sure that every DPS character has pain. Alright, so we needed a little more DPS than what we had. The one weakness, of course, is the tank. They don't usually produce that much DPS, so I swapped out with Camouflage. And assuming they're not null to Thunder, let's see how this works.
A rare one. Now you're talking.
2 resists, but nothing null. Alright, so we're going to blow the AF bar, and we'll try to work in lunatics first, and then start the assault. So let's see how this goes.
That's it. Little scam.
I'm trying to work in some of the 3s.
Gotcha. That's it.
And there we go. A little bit of trial and error, but even with resists, this Thunder team was able to defeat the Uquaji clan. So that was Miyu, ES, Valette, Oboro, Camouflage, with supports Milsha and Azami. Milsha was supporting Miyu, Azami was supporting Oboro. And the gear setup and grasta setup is what we did before. So let's try out another boss. So the boss in another space-time rift, well, there's technically two bosses. There's Lynx and there's Dragon God. So the Dragon God has HP stoppers and so forth. HP stoppers mean to me that you can't blow the AF bar on the first turn and beat the boss. It just can't be done. So this would be a good time to test out my Thunder tank. So I have 3 DPS and a tank now. Yes, I want to test that out. We're going to test the Dragon God. According to the wiki, there's a Superboss page, and if you go to it, it's all kind of ranked. Right now, the strongest bosses are considered level 11 bosses. The Dragon God is a level 8 boss. Now, whether or not you agree with those rankings, kind of up to you, your personal decision. But we're just testing out this Thunder team. So I have some choices. I can blow the AF bar for sure. I can go ahead and cast Lunatic on my characters during the AF bar and start casting some of these other abilities. Or I could go ahead and start with the abilities first, and then Lunatic on turn 2. I mean, I have a bunch of options. So I haven't obviously fought this boss with this team. I'm not sure what the best approach is. I know though that if I drain the AF bar, Guntz's aura is going to kick in and my team is going to gain some extra stats. Now what I do plan on doing, if I can, I'm going to try and cast both Resistance and Defense to Tonneray during the AF bar. That will get me to start praying and reduce his power and inflict rage. So what I'll probably try doing is I will probably go ahead and just cast 1/1/1 for the first 3, and then we'll do defense first, and then I'll cast 1/1/1 again and then cast resistance if I can. I don't know how quickly the AF bar is going to drain, so let's just try it and see what happens. So 1/1/1/3, 1/1/1. Oh, someone went faster than I thought. There's resistance. Alright, I'm just going to spam number 1. Hope the AF bar holds out long enough that I can get him down to his HP stopper. Looks like it is 125 million damage during that. And I did kind of mess up the order a little bit, but it looks like I did hit his HP stopper. Guntz's aura should be in effect now. If I click, yep, all party members' stats are improved by 20%. I have a full Stella bar, and I am cheering right now. So I'm still learning about the thunder mechanics. I see I have 33 stacks of thunder. I don't know if more stacks are better. I'm assuming it would be. Now, but anyway, I could Lunatic, or I could just continue attacking and see what happens. I'm not quite sure what the absolute best thing to do is, so let's just try. It looks like he's now weak to thunder. He didn't used to be. I think that's one of Oboro's stellar abilities. So let's do Rising Beat. Let's go ahead and get a regen and mana regen going in case this takes a little bit longer. And I've already cast both of these, so she'll just attack. So then I have Miyu. Do I improve her power? Do I reduce thunder resistance? Or do I just go ahead and attack? Let's try improving her power this turn and see what happens. Kind of want to blow that too. Oh, let's go without it first.
Gotcha.
Wow. Rising Beat just slaughtered that thing. Okay. Well, that's cool. Rising Beat. It activates the user's strongest learned unique skill at double extra large strength. Now, I believe, if I remember right, Rising Beat is a stellar skill. So that means some of you probably do not have it if you did not pull him or did not upgrade him. So to make it a little more fair, let's switch back to the skills that we do have access to. If you don't have his stellar ability unlocked. And we'll try that Dragon God again. So we're basically going to do the same thing. We're going to blow the AF bar. I'll try to work in a Soteria first, so we'll go 2-1 this time. 2, then 1. 2 and then 1. And 3, 2, 1. So we're going to do a bunch of 2s and then a bunch of 1s. 2, 2, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 1. Alright. Now just spam a bunch of 1s. Not sure if I'll get him down to his... Well, looks like we were able to pull that off. Good. I was a little worried we wouldn't be able to keep the AF bar going long enough. Alright, we got him down to his HP stopper. Oh, we're up to 66 stacks of that thing. Alright. Again, we're trying to pretend that Oboro doesn't have his stellar gauge here, so we're not going to use it. Now, I did work in this during the AF bar. That's why I got so close. So I think I'm just going to have her attack. I'm going to have her... Let's have her do the regen again. He's going to do E2 Ryu Haze. And she's going to attack because she was able to work both of those in. Now, one thing that I do have that I'm not able to change, another one of Oboro's Stella skills, is that he can change the enemy's weak point to thunder. So now, if you notice, he's weak to thunder. Previously, he was resistant. So if you don't have the Stellar Awakening for Oboro, he's still going to be resistant to thunder. With a true Superboss group, that shouldn't matter because they should be strong enough to totally destroy something even when resisting. So, let's see what happens on this turn. And sure enough, that E2 Ryu Haze still slaughtered the boss. So on terms of raw damage, it actually looks like Oboro is pumping out way more damage than Miyu, which a few of us on Reddit were discussing who probably would, and we were kind of actually leaning towards Oboro. So his Ito Ryu Haze did guaranteed critical and stuff like that. So damage increased at max health times 2. So in this case, if I really wanted to build a Superboss team, I might swap Milsha out and put in another Katana character to try and boost Oboro's damage even more. However, I don't like the fact that he doesn't barrier pierce, or if he does, I've overlooked that somewhere in his skill lists. Rising Beat does grant the user barrier pierce for 3 moves and attack again. But if you all don't have Stellar Awakening, that means Oboro doesn't have Barrier Pierce, and Miyu does. So as long as Thundering Stance is active, her Levin Longinus does Barrier Piercing. So this actually might be kind of a flexible Superboss team, where if they don't have Barrier Pierce, I can maybe swap Milsha out for another Katana user to try and beef up Oboro some. Or for monsters that have barriers, I might swap Azami out for another Lance user and try to beef up Miyu's damage more. And on fights that I want to do in one turn, where there's no HP stoppers, I can swap Orlea out for Kamalanaj or another Thunder attacker. This one has a little bit of flexibility, so I kind of don't like the fact that, like, with my Minalka team, Sesta team, and Alma team, I can do like 2 billion damage in one hit, the way they're built. And I don't think Oboro was pulling that. It looked like he was doing more. I couldn't tell if it was 100,000 or if it was in the 1 billions. I'd have to, when I'm editing the video, I guess I can look. So I'll probably pop up a little text box right around now and tell you what I saw when editing. But anyway, the bottom line is I'm trying to show you all how you can look at your characters and build a team around them. Pick one strong DPS, have your reserves beef up those DPS characters. In many cases, you'll want a tank built, and then you usually want someone for support. For my Minalka team, I have Sukiya, who can drop Fire Zone, and she can buff up the team. I have Iffy, who can also buff up the team and provide pain and poison. And I have Radius, who can tank. And Minalka just sits around and does rip and tear and destroys things. And Aldo and Violet are both sword users and hold grasta that support Minalka. In the Wind team, I have Suzette or AS Melody. Either one can set Wind Zone, and it's actually awakened. Yifa can beef up the entire team. She can cast Faith on one character that improves their stats, or Benakt Bua improves all of the team's strength by like 50%. I have a tank, and then I have a barrier-piercing DPS. And then in the background, I have Azami, who's supporting Sesta. Now, Azami, at the moment, does have the power of Thunder. So if I double-click it, I can switch it back to the power of Gale, which would improve Sesta's damage by 30%. So if you use the same character in more than one team, you just have to remember to re-equip certain grasta if you need it. And then my Alma team, she's a magic user, crystal user, so I have Shion, who can cast a magic zone, Iffy, who can do pain, Radius, who can keep the tank alive, Alma, who blasts things with damage, and I have a bow user in the background with grasta that supports Alma. And then I don't have any other grasta that supports Alma, so of my remaining characters, Shion does the next most damage. I have a magic user in the back with grasta that supports Shion. So the only thing I didn't really cover was personality grastas. You might have some personality grastas, like, for example, the cat lover. When it's fully upgraded, all characters that love cats improve their damage by 25%. So Alma happens to be a cat lover, so that was the reason I chose Bivette over other staff users. Even though Bivette's grasta are mainly supporting Shion, her third grasta is actually still supporting Alma. So in this case, I could look up Oboro's personality on the wiki, and if I do that, I can see that Oboro has an Eastern personality, a mask personality, and is a cat lover. So if I wanted to beef up Oboro's damage, I could swap out and see if there's any cat lovers, for example, that also happen to be katana users. And just at a glance, I can see that Atoa is a katana user who is also a cat lover. So that is another possibility. I could beef Oboro up by swapping Milsha out with, let's see, she's a katana user and a cat lover. So I could give her the cat lover, Grasta. And then I could look and see if I have any other katana boosters. I could give her the power of thunder. And I don't see anything else here that supports that. I could go back and check out personalities, and I can see that Atoa is also an Eastern personality. So Atoa is boosting Oboro's power by 25% because they're both Eastern personalities. She's boosting him another 25% because they're both cat lovers, and now she's holding the power of thunder katana. Azami still has her grasta, 2 that improve damage based on his health, and now she's holding a power of gale, which will not help at all. So let's see if there's anything left over that she can equip that would help. Nothing there. I could technically give her like a regen or sound body. That would improve his health by 300. Stuff like that. So, in fact, why not? So now, instead of 3363, he has 3663 health. Not that it really matters in a fight like this one, but there are some fights where maybe you want your katana users to have more health. So now both of them are supporting Oboro. Alright, so round 1, I'm going to try to do, it was 2, 2, 2, and 3, and then it's going to be spamming 1. I'm going to try to work in her second skill. And yes, I know it's really 1, 2, 3, 4. I just kind of ignore the first one, even though I probably shouldn't. So 2, 2, 2, 3, and then 1, 1, 1, 2, and then just keep spamming 1, and hope that I can get him down to his HP stopper again. So 2, 2, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 1, and now just spam 1. Come on, 50%. As the combo goes up, the damage goes up. Looks like I hit the 50% mark, so. Alright. He gets madder at me. Alright, she's going to attack. She is going to attack. He is going to do that E2 Ryu Haze attack again, this time with both of them supporting him. And she'll attack. So I'll take a look in editing and try to slow it down so I can see how much damage he does. So let's see what happens. If it's like last time, Oboro should just slaughter him. Looked like that was 1 point something billion per hit. As I said, I'll check in editing and compare the two and show you. But he should have done a little bit more damage since he had a little bit more support. But anyway, bottom line, that's kind of my approach when I build Superboss teams. I pick a DPS character, build a team supporting them, and have reserves that support them as well. The key, for the most part, isn't so much the character, though of course it does help if you have a very, very strong character. Minalka, Sesta, Alma, and Oboro, are not very common characters. If you have one of them, that's awesome, but I realize there's people out there that don't have any of them. But it's really the grasta that is making the difference here. I needed to run present Guerrilla Dungeon, ancient Guerrilla Dungeon, future, underworld for all the upgrades and the ores and everything, and I had to run them over and over and over again. It does take some time and a bunch of green keys, but once you get enough ores and enough grastas, I almost hesitate to say the characters aren't quite as important. You can build a fairly strong team around like Thermopolis or other strong DPS characters. And the back characters, Atoa is not really a free character, but she comes up a lot in summons. I've gotten 71 light points because she just keeps appearing for me. Azami is a free character. So you don't need super powerful characters in the background. You just need characters that share the same grasta personalities and traits and so forth. So you need cat lovers and eastern people and thunder grasta and so forth. So anyway, that is my approach to building Superboss teams. I hope now you can look at your own teams and kind of decide, oh, I do have one character, Thermopolis, who has Neptune, and that's a really powerful attack. I wonder what would happen if I gave Thermopolis 3 power of pains, and then had another water user have pain. And then, oh yeah, Aisha is a free character, and she has water stance. And then I just need some type of tank or someone that can absorb the blows while Thermopolis does her thing. Once you kind of start thinking along those lines, you can kind of put together your own Superboss team. And then what you can do is, I used the Wiki's Superboss page. I started down with the level 1 Superbosses, which are very easy at this point in the game. Just about anyone can kill them. But I just worked my way up. And then when I got to some of the Superbosses that would drop the Miyake gear and stuff like that, then the Void weapons, then I started gaining a collection of weapons and armor that would boost my abilities and boost my resistances and so forth. And at this point, I have beaten probably about half of the level 11 super bosses right now, and most of the level 10 super bosses. There's still a few that give me trouble too, but I'm not perfect. I've never claimed to be the best another Eden player. Far from it. There's a lot of people that are a lot more creative than me that do wonderful videos. My goal for this channel has always been to help you create a team based on what you have access to. So I'm hoping that by sharing my approach to building teams, you can look at your own characters and build something that works for you. And then if you get lucky and pull one of the meta characters, then you can rearrange your team, or in my case, I just kind of made more and more Superboss teams. So if I have one Superboss that's immune to wind, I just switch to a different team. So anyway, I hope this helps you. Casual Crono, signing out.